All right, welcome to Cutting into Cybersecurity, episode 17 with Joel Bork and Brandon Krieger. Welcome, Brandon. How are you today?
I'm awesome. We're just having some laughs at LinkedIn's expense.
Yeah. Well, they're not letting people get approved for LinkedIn Live, so I am truly blessed. You literally have to know somebody in order to get approved for this darn thing. So, yeah. And I knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody that sent a message and said, hey, approve this guy. And hey, look at that. 2 weeks later, it was done.
Awesome.
Thanks, LinkedIn Live. All right, cool. So we're giving it a couple minutes for people to hop on who had their notifications go off 10 minutes ago, because that's how Google Calendar alarms work. They're just running a little behind. But we're going to jump into, we got a short day today. We're going to be jumping into cryptography. So,
and before we get started, just everyone, like you mentioned time and time again, hit the like, hit the celebrate, the support button on the bottom, just so we can know that who's on the LinkedIn page and watching. If you're on YouTube, send us a comment, let us know kind of where you're from. Also, if you're on Twitch, same thing, kind of let us know where you're from, and then where you're studying in your CISSP. Are you a CISSP now and just reviewing, or are you part of your journey and you're actually starting? Love to know that. So far we have, I think it's, who we got in so far? Simone is there, yourself.
Yep, that's okay. It's going to be a shorter session today. We're going to jump into Diffie Hellman, some key exchanges, key escrows, and that'll be a wrap. But we got the questions for Salome. We got them for you. So we'll jump into those here shortly. But first, we want to do some quick housekeeping. So let's do a quick review. Hopefully some people hop on here shortly so they don't miss this, because I know Diffie Hellman's going to be on the exam. But let's do a quick recap of last week. And we'll jump right in. So I don't think I threw the pictures up there for you this week, Brandon. So let me go ahead and jump in and share these pictures real fast.
Sounds good.
From last week. So here we go. So cryptography, your symmetric keys are on the left. You have things like Blowfish, and then its evolved encryption algorithm Twofish. You have things like the international data encryption algorithm. You have things such as the tiny encryption algorithm, which is T, and then IDEA was the international. And then on the bottom there, you see triple DES, which we talked about, and then Ridgendale. How do you say it again, Brandon? Rindale, yeah. Rindale, and that's an AES algorithm, right? And then on the right, you have Diffie Hellman, SSL, RSA, and SSH for asymmetric key distribution. So, all right, next one up is the other one you're going to want to probably commit to at least memory. Let me get there. Is this table, right? So this table is the one with the key sizes, the plain text and ciphertext lengths. And take a good look at it now, because one of the questions I'm about to ask you is on this chart. So remember that the AES ones are going to be the 128 bits for the plain text and the output for the ciphertext, and then the key sizes are variable. And then you can also see the smaller key sizes for DES, the 56 bits, which is why it was too small, and then you triple that 56 to the 168, and that'll get you triple DES, and then you have IDEA, T, and CAST as well. All right.
It's awesome. Did anyone have any questions about that? Because I know, like, for example, the cryptography it's very deep, when it's very technical too.
Yep.
It's funny. Last night I had a meetup group that I was hosting, and one of the companies, they were doing quantum cryptography, and it was really interesting because everything we were studying, I was like, oh, hey, salting, I got that.
Well, hey, before we get into it then, I had a picture later on in the episode slated, but this is news from the past day. So I wanted to share this with you guys, because you're talking about quantum encryption. Well,
say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, right. I'll be crypto something. Crypto exchange what? Okay. This was basically there was a Chinese quantum computer that completed a 2.5 billion year task in minutes. So this is crazy. Just a day ago, this is, you haven't heard a lot about China developing quantum computing, but apparently they have, and they have had some breakthroughs. So I threw up on the screen a few articles, all from within the last day. But guys, what this means is we're living in a really cool time. And the fact that you have a computer, in your hand that's your smartphone that is more powerful than the one that first went to space, this quantum computer is going to blow anything sitting on your desktop out of the water. And I'm going to guess by the time we're, ancient and our grandkids are around and great grandkids, like we're going to be like, I remember the first time China, I was on that silly podcast with Joel and Brandon.
So what they're saying in the stream last night,
yeah,
I think it was Finland is actually starting to sell public quantum computers. Now, I don't know the cost. It's supposed to be somewhere in the 2021. It's supposed to be released, but they're now making it towards the public, and something for anyone that's in cybersecurity, that's going to be a game changer.
Well, and it's going to, remember, when you say public, it means like research facilities for the most part. Large corporations will be the first to buy it. It's going to take 10, 15 years before it's even affordable to most people.
Well, okay, let's
talk
about let's talk about all the ransomware and all the criminals on that side, how much money have they taken. So if it's right, so I'm just using, devil's advocate kind of, because what they were saying last night, which is kind of interesting and staying in line with cryptography, right? And, breaking these, any of these, hashes are breaking into cryptography. What they were saying was quantum computers are so controlled right now that you have to book time on them. So they know who's on it, what time you're on. So, and if you're doing anything kind of malicious, they know that. It's all scheduled, right? But now if it goes out to the public, goes out to the wild, now who knows, right?
That's true.
Like you said, things that take, and you have that, how strong's my password, and it says like 1 million years, right? And now someone on a computer, it's like 20 seconds.
Well, but this is why it's defense in depth, right? It's not just a complex password, because that means nothing in quantum computing. But what's the lockout period, right? If it's 3, you just disabled what a quantum computer's good at, which would be the brute forcing of your password, right? So, right. It's defense in depth for all of this stuff, and that will protect you against even these very advanced, very expensive attacks. Now, when it comes to rainbow tables where you're brute forcing all the hashes, shoot, that's what those computers are going to crack in minutes. But
walk through,
yeah, exactly. All right, cool, guys. It is 7 past. We got to jump into the questions. So I hope you guys are awake. If you're awake, click the hand celebrate clapping button, and let's jump into these questions real quick. We got some good ones. I'll also share with you where I got these questions, because I read a comment on there at the bottom saying somebody 5 days ago took the CISSP exam. He said there were only 3 or 4 questions on my exam that weren't out of this question bank. Now there's 1,600 questions on the question bank, but still, it's a good resource. It's free, and you can jump in and start taking those practice questions. So let's jump into these questions. Let's see how you do. Here we go. Question number 1. Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
No, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Which of the following is defined as a key establishment protocol based on the Diffie-Hellman algorithm proposed for IPsec but superseded by Ike? Now, if you can read the small text at the bottom, the answer's actually in there. Just a heads up. And Brandon, this is where you're supposed to laugh, because I didn't know I could do a picture slideshow. All right, so here we go. A, Diffie-Hellman Key Exchange Protocol. B, Internet Security Association and Key Management Protocol, or ISACMP. C, Simple Key Management for Internet Protocols, SCIP. Or D, Oakley. Which of the following is defined as a key establishment protocol based on the Diffie-Hellman algorithm proposed for IPsec but superseded by Ike? And Brandon, you gotta take a guess, take a stab, throw it in chat so it's in stone. I want to see it.
I want to see Salome. Salome's always the one that was always getting them right last time.
That's true. Welcome, Sean. Looks like you're on as well. Appreciate you guys for joining today. It will be a short episode today. All right, we got A. So the Diffie-Hellman algorithm proposed by IPsec. So
I would say we're looking at, as a guesstimate, a very high guesstimate, I'd be looking at B, potentially, right? As a guesstimate.
Okay. So it's based on the Diffie-Hellman algorithm. We got Sean saying B. Okay, so you're saying B as well? Yeah. Guys, and once again, we haven't covered this yet, right? So I don't expect you guys to get it. The answer is actually D. The Oakley Key Determination Protocol is a key agreement protocol that allows authenticated parties to exchange keying materials across an insecure connection, making use of the Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm. It formed the basis for more widely used internet key exchange protocol. And then you can see the incorrect answers. But let's walk through those incorrect answers, right? So the Diffie-Hellman algorithm proposed for IPsec is the Diffie-Hellman key exchange protocol.
Mm-hmm.
B, IKE, or the Internet Key Exchange, provides authenticated keying material used for the CISSP, and it has not superseded it. So if we go back to that second one was, so the second one was CISSP, and it has not superseded that. And then C, SCIP is a distribution protocol, not a key establishment protocol. All right. So D is Oakley, and I want to find a way to remember that real quick. So I'm going to pivot back to the question itself. So it was proposed for IPsec, but superseded by IKE. So Oakley is the older version, the older key establishment protocol based on Diffie-Hellman that was superseded by IKE. So I don't know, something, maybe, how would I remember this? Oakley, their sunglasses, but they're in the, I don't know, what's something for IKE, Brandon?
Good question.
Yeah, so IKE is the newer version. Oakley is the older version. If somebody's got a way to remember that, please help me out. But Oakley is the older and superseded version. So if you think of any like rhyme or something, I got nothing off the top of my head right now. All right, question number 2. That one was kind of a trick one. I got another trick one later on, so be prepared. But here we go. Which of the following can best be defined as a key distribution protocol that uses hybrid encryption to convey session keys? This protocol establishes a long-term key once and then requires no prior communication in order to establish or exchange keys on a session-by-session basis. A, Internet Security Association and Key Management Protocol. B, Simple Key Management for Internet Protocols, or SCIP, right? We just talked about that. C, Diffie-Hellman Key Distribution Protocol, or D, IPsec Key Exchange, IKE. So remember, IPsec Key Exchange, or IKE, is newer than Oakley, and that has absolutely nothing to do with this question. All right, what do you got? What do you got, Brandon?
I want to see what Salome and Sean's saying. Yeah, I'm actually going to guess B.
Okay, so you're going to guess B. So this is the simple key management for internet protocols, right? So,
right.
So simple key management for internet protocols, SCIP. Any other guesses? Here we go. Sean, let me make sure I'm not frozen real quick.
Yeah,
okay, I'm not frozen. Give him a second to catch up real quick. Answer this next one. And then we'll jump into it. So remember, which of the following can best be defined as a key distribution protocol that uses hybrid encryption to convey session keys? And the answer is... You guys still awake? I hope so. It's kind of a tricky one. Let me refresh. Looks like Sean dropped. That's okay. The answer is, it's going to be B. So you're right. So the simple key management for internet protocols is that SCIP. So well done. Now remember, the Internet Security Association and Key Management Protocol, it's providing a framework for security association creation and key exchange. Diffie-Hellman is the specific method of exchanging those keys, and then IKE provides authenticated keying material to use with the above. All right, so next question up. Let's go ahead and jump in. I know that text was small, so I went ahead and blew it up on these next two for you. Let's go ahead and fade in. Which of the following can best be defined as a key recovery technique for storing knowledge of a cryptographic key by encrypting it with another key and ensuring that only certain third parties can perform a decryption operation to retrieve the stored key? A, key escrow. B, fair cryptography. C, key encapsulation. Or D, zero knowledge recovery. What do you got, Brandon? Talk me through it.
Well, I'm looking at key escrow. I don't think it's going to be that. Fair cryptography, no. Zero knowledge recovery, no. I'm going to say key encapsulation, I think, is probably the right answer. I'm just kind of looking at the question here. Which of the following can be best be defined as key recovery techniques for storing knowledge of cryptography key by encrypting it with another key? So that's not key escrow, right?
Right.
So encapsulation, I think, would be the catch that you're looking for. It encapsulates it, so it takes it on, right?
That's it, right? So you're encrypting it with another key. You're encapsulating that key. Well done. Correct answer is C. Key encapsulation key is a key recovery technique for storing knowledge of cryptographic keys by encrypting it with another key and ensuring that only certain third parties called recovery agents can perform the decryption operation. So key encapsulation. Well done, man. I really like how you walk through that and kind of process of eliminate it. It's spot on. All right,
I think one thing that, everyone that's doing tests, if you can do that and develop that skill, it's going to help you to narrow down one or two answers that it's going to be close to, or it's going to be a term or phrase that it's going to be, that's the one.
Absolutely. Now, I apologize. I didn't even see the answers come in. I don't know about you guys, but my LinkedIn freezes for some reason, and it just kind of hangs.
I think it's slow today.
Is it slow?
I think so. I'm having the same problem. Normally I don't, where I can see like Sean and everyone kind of talking, and providing answers. Now it's like a few minutes slower.
Gotcha. Well, cool. We'll keep trekking on. So keep answering in the chat, guys. I got some claps, so somebody's still awake. I appreciate you guys for jumping in here. Next question is, which of the following can best be defined as cryptanalysis technique in which the analyst tries to determine the key from knowledge of some of the plain text and cipher text pairs? A, a known plain text attack. B, a known algorithm attack. C, a chosen ciphertext attack. Or D, a chosen plain text attack. It looks like Sean's having the same problem, that it's just freezing on his repeatedly as well. So that's interesting. I just keep refreshing it. It does that almost every session with me. Not sure why, but I basically
probably LinkedIn's bandwidth right now.
Yeah, and maybe that's another reason why they're not approving you. They just can't handle it.
They know I'm going to take up too much bandwidth.
That's right. You stream it all the time.
So which of the following can be best defined as a crypt analyst? And that's kind of a cool term or title, technique in which the analyst tries to determine the key from knowledge of the same plain text ciphertext pairs. So now you're looking at, and I would break this down to A or D. So you look at A or D, a chosen plain text attack or a known plain text attack.
What are you going to go with?
So and then you look at the knowledge. Here's the key. You look at the knowledge of some plain text. So I would go with A known. Right? Because the knowledge of.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Correct answer is A. And Salome got it as well. Same time, right as I switched over. So well done, Salome. You're right. It is the known plain text attack, right? So you're taking the ciphertext, you're taking some plain text, right? And then you are able to, in an attempt to crack the cipher, and it's also known as an attack. Well done, guys. Well done. Now, all right. So here's the deal. I need you guys to pay attention to this one because there's a few oddities in it. Okay? Are you ready for this one, Brandon?
Ready for it.
There's some oddities in this question, and you may not see them at first. So I'm going to walk through it like it's a question. I want to see how you guys answer it, and then let's walk through, because this is really going to test your skills. I threw up that big chart with all the keys and everything on it. What do you remember from that? So when you read this, think about what may be wrong and ask questions if you got them. Okay, Brandon? Same to you guys. Sean, Salome, if you guys see something funky or out of place, let me know. You have been warned.
Is this one of those double negatives? This is not.
You'll find out shortly. Okay, question is, the data encryption algorithm performs how many rounds of substitution and permutation? The data encryption algorithm performs how many rounds of substitution and permutation? And even if you can read the small text and read the answer, it may not do you any good. Just a heads up. All right, Brandon, walk me through it. What do you got?
So I'm looking at this right now, and I'm kind of going through what we talked about.
Yep.
And I'm because you're looking at the data encryption algorithm performs how many rounds of substitution and permutation. So we're talking about the difference between bits and blocks. So something that we have to define here, right? So how many bits and blocks are we talking about? So I think that eliminates C and potentially A. So now you're looking at maybe B or D.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you're breaking that down, when you're talking about blocks, you're probably looking at, 64 would be blocks, right? But when you're talking about, breaking it down and ciphering, I probably would be looking at B, right? Smaller blocks. So yeah, I think my final answer is going to be B. So to narrow that down.
Well done. Well done. That is the answer for this question. The correct answer would be B. So even if they got it wrong on the final exam, you would have gotten the answer right on this. Now, here's the kicker. Look at the question. It says the data encryption algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
The international data encryption algorithm, is that the one it was talking about? Because they left out international, right? So if it's the international data encryption algorithm, it's a block ciphertext and operates 64 blocks of data, which is divided into 16 smaller blocks. And each has 8 rounds of mathematical functions performed on it. Okay, so hold on. Which one is it? Is it that the question was how many rounds of substitution and permutation?
Well, but 8's not one of the answers.
You're right. You're right. It's not one of the answers. Now
here's a catch. Always we learn a test. You try to go with the best possible answer, right?
Boom, you got it. So let's go ahead and walk through some of this because if you look at this chart that we showed before, let me get over here to the algo tables, and you look at IDEA, right? The International Data Encryption Algorithm, you can see its substitution and permutation structure, and you can see how many rounds and you can see on the right side, number of rounds is 8. On the very far right, it's kind of cut off, but you can see 8 is the number of rounds. And you can see it varies, right? So for DES, it's 16. For triple DES, it's obviously triple that, so 48. Blowfish, 16. IDEA is 8 rounds. And then you get up into AES, and it varies, which is interesting. So let's go ahead and fade this back in real quick. So when we talk about, that's a little small. So let me work this back up. But I pulled this, and so I was talking about DES. I'm like, okay, what was 16 rounds? That would be DES, right? 16 rounds or iterations. Actually, is that right? Hold on.
We got DES, Blowfish, Two Fish. If I'm reading the cast, if I'm reading it correct.
DES is the 16. Triple DES is the 48. Yep. So that'll be Blowfish and DES. Now, when we look at... I had one more picture real quick. Let me get back to question 5. But then when we look at IDEA, just so you guys know that... Where is it? There we go. Oh, that didn't help at all. That is way too small. But I did verify the IDEA, and actually it was interesting because even that's not right. So IDEA operates in 64-bit blocks using a 128-bit key and consists of a series of 8 identical transformations or rounds. What turned out to be, it says 8 identical transformations. I want to say it's actually 8.5. Give me just a second.
You gonna look that up?
I'm going to look it up real quick. So stay with us. Let me bring us back in. So needless to say, I'm going to give you this resource now. You're going to have to double check some of these questions, right? So if you're like, this doesn't seem right, Google it or look in the comments below. But guys, this is a list of up-to-date, semi-up-to-date,
semi-accurate,
semi-up-to-date exams. And I just posted that linked in the LinkedIn Live. So examtopics.com/exams/ISC/CISSP. It has over 1,600 practice questions on it. Some are wrong, some are right. But it was interesting. If you read the comments on that bank of questions, they said that a lot of the questions on the exam are in that bank. But yeah, the full...
And hold on. Before you start going to do it, just make sure you study it and you know it. Don't do brain dumps.
That's it. That's key. Right. You can't brain dump 1,600 questions. You just can't.
Well, even that, just for your own career, try to learn the information, because the more applied knowledge you have that you can actually apply in the industry, so much more beneficial for you versus learning it, studying it, memorizing it, and then a week later you forgot everything.
Yep, you're spot on. Yeah, and I was right. So actually, the number of rounds that IDEA does is actually 8.5.
Nice.
Which is kind of goofy, right? So even 8 was kind of right? So, all right. Did you guys find value in that? Good questions, different than last week's questions. Do you guys like those type of questions, even with the kind of trick question at the end? Yes, no?
I think it helps. I mean, in my opinion, the more we can kind of test each other and keep going, it just helps to solidify the information.
Cool.
From what we've learned, right?
I dig it. I agree. And I think Salome likes the questions. Like, I really just do it for her, so.
Really, so I think that's what she does. She studies for these questions.
That's right.
She gets prepared, she does it, and she's ready. It's like, bringing them on. I'm going to get perfect.
She's crushing it, though.
Exactly.
All right, guys. So we're going to jump into this week's content. We'll probably be done in about 10, 15 minutes. So thank you guys for sticking with us. Let's jump right in, though. This is going to be symmetric key management. Do you want to kick us off, Brandon?
Sure, I can do that.
Cool.
Okay, so symmetric key management, because cryptographic keys contains information essential to the security of crypto systems. It is incumbent upon crypto systems users and administrators to take extraordinary measures to protect the security of the key materials. These security measures are collectively known as key management practices. They include safeguards surrounding the creation, distribution, storage, destruction, recovery, and escrow of secret keys.
Right. So we've talked about this, right? One of the big problems of symmetric encryption algorithms, where you're using the same key at both ends, is the distribution, right, of those secret keys in order required to operate them, right? So the three main methods used to exchange secret keys are typically offline distribution. You want to securely do it, you transport the key offline, use them at both sites, boom, you have secure communications. You can also use public key encryption. And then you have the Diffie Hellman key exchange algorithm, which we get to talk about. And that's where you're able to exchange keys over unencrypted communications. So each party can have the same key, but nobody eavesdropping can get the key. Pretty incredible stuff. We'll teach you how to do that shortly.
Right, for sure. Then, so offline distribution, the most technically simple method involves the physical exchange of key materials. One party provides the other party with a sheet of paper or a piece of storage media containing the secret key. In many hardware encryption devices, this key material comes in the form of an electronic device that reassembles an actual key that's inserted into the encrypted device.
Yep. Once again, if they ask you like, hey, are there flaws of offline key delivery? What would you say, Brandon? Yeah, right. If it's through a telephone, it could be wiretapped. Papers could be thrown in the trash or lost or intercepted, right?
Scanned.
No,
shoulder surfing. I mean, you can take a
boom.
picture now.
Yep.
Now, just a quick thing. Hearing about this constantly, right? It was people that were getting shoulder surfed that didn't realize someone was watching with a camera. iPhone, they look like they're texting, and all of a sudden they're filming them, right? And then, of course, with the 1080p 4K video, you can zoom right in, right?
That's it. Now, I don't know. Do you like Reddit?
I go there for the conversation and see what's going on.
I do too. Like, so it's interesting because, I always see these, what is it? Watch people die inside, or like, there's some funny threads on there. Anyways, I do it for the memes. No, I'm just playing. But, it's amazing that people are recording all the time, and people do stuff right in front of cameras without even knowing they're being recorded.
I know.
It's incredible. So once again, yeah, you got to be, cameras are teeny these days, and you don't know when you're being recorded. So just be careful out there. Next up is public key encryption. So this is a different way of distributing these keys.
Want to go over that?
Yeah, let me do it. So many of these communicators want to obtain the speed benefits, right, of the secret key encryption without the hassles of the distribution. So for this reason, many people are using public key encryption to set up an initial communications link. Once the link is successfully established and the parties are satisfied that the identities have been confirmed, then they exchange the secret key over a secure public key link. So that is public key encryption.
Right. Then they switch communications from the public key algorithm to the secret key algorithm and enjoy the increased process speed. In general, secret key encryption is thousands of times faster than a public key encryption.
Yeah, so remember, right? They're doing public key encryption, takes a very long time. They've shared a public key. They do the public key encryption, then they share a secret key, and now it's wicked fast, right?
Right.
And thousands of times faster than public key encryption. So that is public key encryption, key exchange. Now, what we get to talk about a lot today, and what I've seen covered on the, or people have said is on the exam, is the Diffie Hellman. And in some cases, neither public key encryption or offline distribution is sufficient, right? Sometimes people just have to communicate, or two parties have to communicate, or two servers have to communicate, but they have no physical means of exchanging it, and there's no public key infrastructure. Now, when that doesn't exist, how do you exchange secret keys? Well, Diffie-Hellman's the answer to that.
And they say, like, in a situation like this, key exchange algorithms like Diffie-Hellman algorithm prove to be extremely useful mechanism.
Yeah, so I got a quick picture, and this is what they gave us. Let me show you. This is what they gave us to share with you guys. And I was like, I can't even read that text. So me and Brandon, we went ahead and did some digging. This one talks about Alice and Bob and Q to Z mod P, and we're like,
what?
How are we supposed to teach anybody on that? So
we're supposed to know it.
Yeah, how are you supposed to even I get the concept, but how do you get into it and actually pull it out? So we went ahead and pulled this apart for you, and this is why this week's going to be a little shorter. But we want to make sure you guys get this and what it's trying to show you. So the Diffie-Hellman, the key exchange, it's really complex, and it can get difficult to wrap your head around how it works because it uses a lot of big numbers and a lot of math. I still dread that from high school. I don't know about you, Brandon, but my calc teacher was brutal.
No, actually, I enjoyed math. It was fun for me because I found numbers easily.
You didn't take calc, did you?
I did. I actually did.
Did you? I got some claps in here, so somebody else hated their math teacher too. I'm just kidding. I loved her. Sweet lady.
She's probably watching this right now.
She probably is. Shoot.
Nice. So to make things a bit easier to understand, we'll start by explaining the Diffie-Hellman key exchange with an analogy. Once you have a big picture idea of how it works, we'll move on to the more technical description of the underlying process.
Okay, cool. So let's jump in. I'm not going to show our picture quite yet. So let me talk about our analogy. Okay, are you guys ready? Give me a thumbs up if you guys are ready. I need to hear if you're ready because we're jumping right in. All right. This analogy scheme, the best way to think of Diffie-Hellman is think of two people mixing paint together. So let's use the cryptography standard and say that their names are Alice and Bob, right? They both agree on a random color to start with. Let's say they send each other a message and decide yellow is their common color. Let's take this picture. Now I'm ready to share it. Mm-hmm. All right. So here's Alice and Bob. You can see they picked the color yellow. So, all right, cool. Got some thumbs up. You guys are with us. So the common paint, random color, they pick yellow. Thank you, Salome. I appreciate you. And please let us know at the end of this if you found this paint mixing, if it helped you make sense of this. Okay. So once they have picked their common color, then they're going to pick their own secret color. They don't tell the other party their choice. Let's say Alice chooses red, so you can see yellow, or the yellow first on the left, and then the red, that's her secret color, while Bob chooses a greenish blue on the right. The next step is for both Alex and Bob to mix their secret color, red for Alice and greenish blue for Bob, with the yellow that they mutually agreed upon. According to this diagram, Alice ends up with an orangish mix, while Bob's result is a deeper blue. Mm-hmm. Now, once they've finished mixing, they send the result to the other party. Alice receives the deeper blue, while Bob is sent the orange-colored paint. So you can see there, now they each have the blue and the orange, right? So they basically use public transportation, non-encrypted, and let me see, can you guys see that well? Yeah, it's pretty small. Let me see if I can zoom in just a hair for you guys on that. Where is it? Paint buckets, image.
Yeah, I can see it pretty good.
Can you? Let me zoom in just a hair for him.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. If everyone can just kind of give us a thumbs up if they can see it. Okay.
Yeah. So there's the common paint at the top, secret colors, public transport, assume the mixture separation is expensive. There you go. Right. So you can't separate the colors. Now, once they do that, okay, Sean says it looks good. Cool. And you're going to see an updated one here shortly, Sean. Now, once they've received the mixed result from their partner, they can then add their secret color to it. Same secret color as above. Alice takes the deeper blue and adds her red. Bob's going to take his greenish blue to the orange he just received. The result, they both come out with the same color. Do you see how that works, Brandon?
Yeah.
Right? So you're taking your secret color with the mutually agreed upon color, mix it. You take your secret color with their mixed color, mix it, and you're going to come out with a nasty brown.
At the end of this.
Right? But it's going to be the same color, which is the incredible part. Now, it may not be the same kind of color that you would want to paint your living room with, but it's a shared color nonetheless. The shared color is referred to as the common secret. So if you see common secret in this exam at all, the common secret is that shared color. Now, the critical part of the Diffie-Hellman exchange is that both parties end up with the same result, right? They're doing it over non-encrypted communications, and they never have to send the entirety of the common secret across the communication channel. So choosing a common color, their own secret colors, exchanging the mix, then adding their own color once more gives both parties a way to arrive at the same common secret without ever having to send across the whole thing. Whew. And that's Diffie-Hellman in Paint.
So let's ask the question.
Yep.
How many people get that?
Yeah, and I think it's going to make more sense once we walk through the actual algorithm. But now that you have that image in your head, you're never going to forget it.
Right.
Right? And the cool part is, so I was doing some research on the CISSP, and they said, okay, is there math involved in the CISSP? Like, are they ever going to ask me a math question? The answer is no. So, like, you know the triple des formula or the formulas you're about to see, chances are you're not going to see those specific math formulas on the exam. They're also not going to ask you for history questions. So this is not a history exam. This is semi-practical questions for cybersecurity.
Right.
So, all right. You ready to jump into the actual algorithm?
Let's do it.
All right.
So you can bring it up on the screen?
Yeah, here in a second. So let's okay, I got some claps though. So I'm glad you guys are with it. Let me go ahead and talk about, where is it? All right. Now let's talk about the actual algorithm itself. I keep changing names on you, so I apologize. But let's talk about Richard and Sue. So they are going to agree on two large numbers, right? P, which is a prime number, and G, which is an integer, such that 1 is less than G, which is less than P. So basically the prime number is going to be the biggest, right? But then any integer in the middle, as long as it's in between 1 and the prime, is just fine. Now, Richard is going to choose the random large integer, R, and performs the following calculation, right? So R is his secret paint. So he'll take R, and that's going to equal GR mod P. Then Sue's going to choose a random large integer, S, and perform the following calculation. S equals GS mod P, right? So now they have their mixed color. Now, Richard is going to send R to Sue, and Sue sends S to Richard. Richard then performs the following calculation, where he's finding K. Sue then performs her calculation as well, using the other variables, right? So you can see the R is in Sue's that he traded her. And the cool part is they're going to, mathematically speaking, they're going to get the same answer no matter which order you do the exponentiation in, right? So it's pretty cool, and you never have to know what secret number you used to get the result, and you'll never know what number I used, but we're gonna arrive at the same result. It's pretty cool, actually, when you think about it. Like
after the end of the calculation, right?
At the end of the calculation, you're gonna have the same number. You never knew my secret color. I never knew yours. Anybody sniffing, since they can't pull apart the mixed color, they won't know that secret key. So Diffie-Hellman is the way you can exchange keys over unencrypted communications successfully.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool. What did you guys think? Was that a good analogy? Much better than that first picture we threw up? The paint, the actual calculation, etc. Did that help? I hope it did.
You know, I found it did, because again, you have that visual, it's simple to figure, like, to understand how it's being exchanged across.
That's key. Now I want to go back to our algo tables real quick over here. So when we fade, hold on real quick. Give me just a moment. All right, so here we go.
Able to find it?
Yep, so here it is. So remember, if you look on the right hand, it's cool. Salome said that's cool. Awesome. You're not going to forget it now, I promise, right? When you think of Diffie Hellman, first of all, it's 2 words, so you can think of mixing paint together with 2. I don't know. That's how I do it. Anyways, on the right-hand side of this graph, you're going to see DH, which is Diffie Hellman, SSL, RSA, and SSH. Right? So these are asymmetric. So Diffie Hellman uses the private-public key pair to establish a shared secret, right? Typically, it's a symmetric key, but DH or Diffie Hellman is not a symmetric algorithm. It's an asymmetric algorithm used to establish a shared secret for a symmetric key algorithm. That's key, and you guys are going to have to know that. So while Diffie Hellman is an asymmetric key algorithm, it's used to share a symmetric key. Yeah? You with me, Brandon?
Makes sense. Makes total sense.
Cool. All right, then.
And then going back to that one question, it's encapsulation, right? Do you remember that?
Run me through it.
Key encapsulation?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. Because it's taking a key and putting it inside. So that's the theory. That's the theory behind it, right? It's encapsulating another key. So it's taking symmetric.
So it's sharing the symmetric key, right? So you have to remember it's using public-private key, right? And then it's creating the output of it is a symmetric key, right? So now each party will have the same key when they started out with public-private, right? So public-private goes to then the shared, and that's then a symmetric key algorithm.
Right. And I'm just going back to the original question.
Yep.
Which of the following can be the best defined as a key recovery technique to storing knowledge of cryptographic key by encrypting it with another key or ensuring that only certain third parties can perform the decryption option to retrieve the stored key? The answer was C, key
encapsulation. Now it's a tad different. So key encapsulation is going to be when it comes to key recovery.
Right.
So you'll have a key. You'll then be able to encapsulate that key, and it's encrypted. And then you send that off for basically key escrow or for somebody to hold.
Right.
Right. So then if you want to recover it, you would then have to use your key to then decrypt the key and then recover the data.
Okay.
So a little different, but I see where the asymmetric to symmetric, the theory is similar, right? Because you're starting with one and ending with another. Vivek ended up joining us. Welcome, Vivek. Glad you could make it. We just finished explaining Diffie Hellman. It is going to be a short episode today.
So thanks, guys, for coming out. It was really good seeing you guys.
See ya. Now that Vivek's here, we got to go. Can't teach him our tips and tricks. No, but good stuff.
It's recorded. You can always go back and review it.
Yeah, if nothing else, just hop in the last 10 minutes and review Diffie Hellman. Jump through that. We had some good questions at the beginning, but we're going to jump into some crypto system techniques such as fair crypto systems, escrowed encryption standards, etc. You ready, Brandon?
Yeah, so I'll go over fair crypto systems. In this escrow approach, the secret keys used in a communication are divided into 2 or more pieces, each of which is given to an independent third party. Each of these pieces is useless on its own, but may be recombined to obtain the secret key.
Yeah, right. So fair crypto systems typically used by multiple organizations. They'll then break that key up, divvy it out. So it's not just one organization who could result in the breaking of all those keys.
Right.
Now, similar to like a government authority. So if the government wants to decrypt something, the government would then have to provide evidence from a court order to each of the third parties, reassemble the secret key, and then be able to decrypt the data.
And then Sean just provided a good resource. Here's a good article explaining Diffie Hellman. So he provided a link there too.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, and I would love to, and once again, you guys don't have to know the math behind it. This is a great definition as well. Please read through it. No Diffie Hellman front and back. For Brandon and I, that paint analogy, it just made sense, right? Once you can do that, you can piece it together. And if they did show you a set of calculations with, like you saw above, where they're modding each other, GR mod P, I would know it was Diffie Hellman.
Right. And then you look at Viveki saying, Diffie Hellman paint mixing analogy. He's laughing.
Oh, is he laughing? It's a good analogy.
I think it worked.
Yeah.
So escrow encryption standards. This escrow approach provides the government with a technological means to decrypt ciphertext. The standard is the bias behind the skipjack algorithm discussed earlier in this chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was basically escrowed encryption standard. This was saying that government regulators would then be able to basically establish and implement a key escrow on a widespread basis where the government would hold your keys. Who thinks that's a good idea?
Nope.
Anybody? No takers? Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this either. But basically, it's not going to happen. There's no government would make it through the legal and privacy hurdles necessary. Now, granted, they have done it, right? People have put in back doors and given the government keys to certain products in the past where they have stored it. And a lot of the time it hasn't turned out well and it's been exploited by other people.
Right.
So typically the general public won't accept that. But there have been governments that have, and I'm going to assume China and Russia probably do to some extent, depending on the org as well.
For sure. Yeah,
Cool.
That makes sense.
All right, let's jump into the cryptographic lifecycle. And then this is the end of chapter 7.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. So the exception of one-time pad, all cryptographic systems have a lifetime lifespan. Moore's law, a commonly cited trend in the advancement of computing power, states that the processing capabilities of a state-of-the-art microprocessor will double approximately every 2 years. This means that eventually processors will reach the amount of strength required to simply guess the encryption keys used for a communication.
Yeah. So my dad worked at Intel. Yeah, my dad worked at Intel, so he used Moore's law for like everything, right? He even used it for like the knowledge we're learning now. If the power of computers doubles in 2 years, what you're learning now, while it may be applicable, basically it's going to half itself every year. It's crazy the amount of data. So guys, and I know Sean has been studying for this exam for a while, but if you're studying for this, like, please just study for it. It's time to knock this out. That's why you guys are here. We're going to study for it. We're all going to take it. We're going to pass it because, guys, in 2 years' time, a lot of this stuff is going to be irrelevant. Now, Vivek, I want to bring this back because this is where I had the image and article for the quantum computer from China that is starting to break records already. So I'll throw it up one more time. But article from December 6th, which was yesterday, 2 days ago, basically, they're touting China's quantum supremacy, saying they have a quantum computer that took what would have taken a modern computer 2.5 billion years and completed it within minutes. So it just goes to show, right? Moore's law every 2 years for microprocessors, but you take quantum computing and throw that in the mix, and now certain processes, it blows all of that out of the water.
Right.
In a huge way. So there is a cryptographic life cycle, and as we take this into the quantum realm, all of these encryption algorithms are, I want to say worthless, but basically worthless, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They'll walk right through them.
Now, well, the kicker is, can you do it at speed, right? Because certain communications, like you're exchanging keys, but yeah, if you're using symmetric, right, and you have static keys, how long do those take to brute force?
Right.
We will
Only
see.
Time will tell now.
Yeah, it's true. Just a short matter of time. All right. So we have to keep this in mind. But for the time being, when you go to take this exam, I want to show you guys real quick the things you should choose as a cybersecurity practitioner if they ask you on the exam what you should implement. So if they ask you what the best way of doing things is on the exam, right? There may be multiple answers, but these are the ones you should know. So